Okay, should be
I do
going
like
now.
this.
Should be
You,
going
you
now.
need to figure out how to do this because this is the perfect way to do this, to do the pregame, is just to open it up and turn it on. And can you hear us?
Is there
Yep,
anybody
we are.
out there? Okay.
We are live. Excellent. All right, press the button.
Okay, hold on. Like I said, I had to restart everything, so nothing's where it ought to be.
The missus had to reboot, so she's currently
Well, and not
making all
only
the
did I have to,
things
because
there.
everything locked up just as I was getting ready to start everything. So,
It's the
and
NSA, I tell you.
it probably is. Here,
Oh, we got a
I
barn burner of a show tonight.
I had a soundbite for that. If I can find it. Ah!
Uh,
I can hear the rain coming down. So we are a little late starting tonight. So 2 minutes late, but here we go. Better late than never.
Bants and Bants. Bants and Bants.
All systems go.
Bants and Bants.
Defiance.
Bants and Bants.
This rebel has a cause.
Bombs and Bants.
We began as wanderers, and we are wanderers still.
Welcome, everyone, to the 147th live edition of Bombs and Bants and Wednesday Rants. As always, I'm your dedicated and humble host, John Wilder, coming to you from that penthouse control room of the majestic Wilder Industries skyscraper. With me, as always, is Mark.
Hey, everyone.
And from hiding in the basement, the missus.
Ah!
The missus has all the technical brunt of this, and so she's got she's got the fight to happen. So, in that case, Mark, how was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. I got it. You know how I am. I always come in rushing in at the just under the wire. That's what I was with painting my deck this year. I got it. It took me a couple weekends to get everything sanded. Had to replace several boards, but got it done and got it repainted the day before it started raining and the temperature dropped. So
Wonderful. That's perfect
Hey.
timing. I might have to do that some decade. The missus. I think we should explain last week that we weren't here, and that was because of us. It was a scheduled thing that we had to do. We were attempting to conquer Nicaragua and install ourselves as royalty. I was going to be the Pope, and the missus. What was your title going to be again?
I'm the number one garbage person.
The garbage person. There's a lot of garbage coming up tonight. Let me tell you what, and a whole lot of stuff. This might be the episode that gets us kicked off of the YouTube. Which firearm to use for sanding? Is that a 9mm? Hey, I'm going to start off. We do have a big announcement. Biden has selected his vice presidential candidate. It's TV's MacGyver, Richard Dean Anderson, who Biden thinks will bring his Airwolf chopper and stop that rascally Sheriff Lobo and sort out that Republican Ewing family from Dallas. So I think he's really onto something this time. And you'll only have to hear this like maybe one more time.
The fact is that I don't remember. And what am I doing here?
And I'm going to blame myself. Yeah, we're going to have to retire so much
I
stuff.
know.
Uh, Jim from What's on Let's always sand with bird shots. All right, so
And by the way, okay, so I do have to say before we go any further here, since we did have a little technical difficulty here at the beginning of the show, we are also having some severe weather in our area, so it is possible if we get a lightning strike or something, the power might go out, and then that'll knock us off. So if that happens, that's probably what has happened.
Have a great week.
Yes, either I've locked up or we're off because the power's out.
So just a little couple of housekeeping notes. Like and subscribe. So hit that like button, subscribe, because that will maybe have another 2 or 3 people that might show up and want to watch the show.
And it really pisses off YouTube. So
Yep. Yeah. But beyond that, the other housekeeping note is this may be the episode that gets us knocked off forever. If so, we will figure something out between now and next week. I'm just letting you know we're going to fly pretty close to the flames tonight. This is going to be controversial stuff. But before then, on this day in history, in 1961, the Soviets, in anticipation of live stream 147 of Bombs and Bants and Wednesday Riots, detonated the Tsar Bomba, the biggest advertising gimmick ever in history. They just did it, several decades too early, almost 60 or 63 years too early. So, anyway, thank you, Russia. I'm going to say thank you, Soviets. Also on this day in history.
Wasn't that supposed to close some interdimensional rift?
Well, it's the one opened by
Just
Orson
kidding.
Welles when he drank some wine before it's time. In 1938, Orson Welles created national panic because he convinced people that Martians were landing by broadcasting an H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds dramatization. Many people don't know this, but this was a covering for FDR because people were finally coming into the conclusion that if FDR was in a wheelchair, how could he run for president?
Dun, dun, dun!
There you go. All right. Shall we take a walk down that street we'd call a conversation?
Yeah, we probably could. Yeah, here we go.
And now it's time for us to take a stroll down the smooth sidewalks of Conversation Street.
In what will be the last Kamala watch, Tim Waltz today is rumored to have had an affair with a Chinese leader's daughter, which
He's got
shocks
his
me
own
because
fang.
yep, which shocks me because I had no idea he had any heterosexual tendencies. So there's that.
No, she was young.
I thought that was a South Korean name. Okay, never mind. Kamala gets booed in Houston in Michigan after promising a Beyonce performance, which is Beyonce getting out and talking for 4 minutes while in full football pads. Oh, wait, is that her body? Ooh, okay. All right, Arnold Schwarzenegger comes out of the closet as fully into Harry Walls, which is in keeping with his pandemic "Screw Your Freedom" speech. And Harris today noted, with no irony intended, I don't think, that when she's president, illegals will be quickly deported. She actually said that. She had the guts to actually say that. So, discuss Kamala Watch.
Well, I think Arnold has. I mean, I don't think that it's ever been a mystery where he laned. He only. In fact, I'm not even sure why he tried to run under Republican, but he's never been a Republican, or at least a conservative, and no surprise that he would come out in favor of Kamala. I've noticed that the Bush family, at least the few that have bothered to even make it publicly known who they support, have come out in support of Kamala, and Dick Cheney did. I mean, pretty much anybody who's deep state or ever come within 100 yards of some of those deep states seem to be supporting Kamala.
The missus. It's a 3-person show, so jump on in there.
I don't think I have my right earbud in. Hang on. Let me see if I can actually.
You couldn't hear anyway out of your right ear.
I can't. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's just broken. That's entirely possible. Seems like everything else is tonight. Anyway, so I was kind of thinking about this the other day, and about how democracy and rule by the people is a pretty recent invention in the history of humanity. And for so many years, we had chieftains, we had chiefs, we had kings, we have emperors. And what we're doing now is pretty new. And I'm thinking, why did we go along with that for so long? Having a strong man. And maybe, and Wilder, you and I have talked about this before, maybe there's just something innate in humanity that makes people want to give in to that, you know? It's a lot easier when you don't have to make your own decisions. What does our that civil rights lawyer guy that we like to watch say? Freedom is scary, deal with it. And it is, and I think a lot of people are scared by that. And, you know, and you're talking about Arnold and that he's kind of always had those tendencies, and he came from an authoritarian country. And I think maybe as people get older, sometimes they give in to that. And they do just want people to take care of them and make the decisions. And you don't have to think anymore. Turn off your brain. I'll do it for you.
Yeah, and you know, and again,
Yeah.
that's a good point with Arnold coming from Australia, because it's just a crazy country down there.
Well, and I think that raises another point, which I mean I don't hear discussed very often, but you know the fact of the matter is the U.S. and the Revolutionary War and setting up the Constitution was sort of a culmination of a long period of change in governance and stuff that was happening throughout different parts of Europe, you know, the lowlands in Germany, Belgium, and the in England. It was you know it was a long development. Plus, you know, at that point they'd already had almost 200 years of semi independence or autonomy anyway from England and in the governing of internal affairs in the colonies. So I mean there was a process there, and I think it actually worked fairly well for quite a while. But I think what's changed is, you know, gosh, this is going to sound terrible, but you know, we literally started importing in the late 1800s and continuing through this, you know, the 20th century and up to now, importing a lot of people from countries that didn't have that long tradition and that growth behind them. They came from countries that, you know, even if they weren't despotic, they still had, you know, these kings or other types of royalty, you know, and severe class distinctions and so forth. And we brought them in, and I think it's influenced the culture. I think it's I don't think it should be a surprise that after all the immigration that occurred in the mid to late 1800s, that you saw the Tammany Hall groups form, and you know those types of political machines in the major cities.
So you're blaming the Irish?
Well, it's not just the Irish. I mean,
It's not
you know,
just the Irish.
No,
Why
I'll
do you
blame
hate the
Italians.
Irish? I
I'll
don't.
blame the Italians too. But you know,
Now, let's
it
not
took-
talk about the Swedes.
But I mean, it took an even worse turn. Um, excuse me, as we started to see a lot of the Eastern European peoples pour in, especially I think after World War II, when you had a lot of people fleeing from the Soviet Union. I mean, they're literally coming from countries that were just barely out of the feudal period. And I think it's made a big difference. You know, now we see the country turning absolutely socialist, and you know that's after 40, 50 years of importing people from socialist countries, particularly Central America.
You know,
And-
and you're right there. I think you're right, because the first people who came here, our founding fathers, all came to a country that was essentially wilderness. I mean, there was nobody here to bail you out. You had to have sort of a individualistic, independent, enterprising sort of personality to come here in the first place. And after everything was sort of set up, and then we started bringing other people in, they were like, well, you know, I want the government to take care of me. You know, this is I'm simplifying this a lot. I just want to be taken care of. Where's my
You mean
my
taken care of?
No, my $10,000 gift card, and where's my free housing and my free medical care? Why aren't you taking care of me? Yeah, sure, I'll trade that for being told where I can go and what I can't do and what I can say and what I can, you know, that's fine.
Yep.
Let's give the executive more power. Let's make national elections more important, because we need to centralize power. We need a king.
Okay, well, let's move on to Trump Watch. All right, Donald Trump, the Donald, was on Rogan. DJ Vance today was on Rogan, and Rogan himself is not on Rogaine. Trump had a huge rally in Madison Square Garden, where a comedian made news by calling Puerto Rico a floating garbage island. And while Kamala got a fake hero in Arnie, Donald Trump gets a real one as Buzz Aldrin fully endorses Trump for president. Discuss.
That's a lot to
Well,
unpack there.
yeah, I'll be honest. I haven't watched any of the interviews. Um,
You're kind of in the
well,
minority on that, Mark. He's had 60
yeah.
million views on that podcast.
No,
And
I,
it was
60 million.
censored by YouTube
Yeah.
or delisted so that it didn't show up when you searched Rogan Trump.
Yeah. You wouldn't want
So-
people to be
okay.
able to see
Well,
that.
I will have to say I did read about that, and I followed the link to YouTube to the full thing that they had in this article, and then I thought, I ought to do my own search, and I did a search, and it showed up like the fifth one down.
When I searched, and this was obviously before your search, it did not show up on. I mean, I scrolled for 20 different items and it didn't show up. So
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that as soon as those stories got out, somebody at Google started getting, puckering and decided they better do something.
so
Well,
who would
I had that issue today on YouTube looking for the video of Biden's Zoom call that we're going to talk about a little bit later. And I had to go through a couple of pages of videos before it showed up. And I had to trick the keyword search to get it to show up. The words Biden, Trump supporters, garbage did not get me to that video. Now, one would think if you had an honest search function, YouTube, on your site, that would be the first video that would show up, since everybody was fucking looking for it. So, I'm a little pissed. I'm a little
and I agree.
politically
I
testy
mean,
today.
Google has become almost useless
All right.
in the search engine, and YouTube's just their search engine's just a branch of that. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's just their political bias or the fact that they've got some AI that's run amok, but it's useless anymore.
There you have it. All right, we're going to have to move along, guys, as much because we could sit here all day. Do you have any memes for us? Because we are running woefully long.
Going way too serious. I just wanted to respond to what you're talking about there in chat about the Conversation Street logo. It's the same as the color logo. So if you're wondering who is who, it's the same. So Mark's in the middle. Okay. Now that we have that, right then, now that we have that all taken care of and we've solved all the world problems, let's do some funnies.
Mark in the middle. That could be a comedy
Mark
show.
in the middle. That could be. Yeah.
Our adopted son, Mark.
Yes, our adopted son, Mark.
All right. Moving along. How many funny things do you have?
I have 8.
For now. Pick them.
Okay. Here we go. We'll start off with this one. I actually said something like this today to someone because we were listening to something, news about the election. And I said, just to think, in a week, all this will be over. And it will be some fresh new hell.
And I will say that the Trump actually wins the day as far as the text message. It says, I didn't send this to everyone, John. I sent it to you because I love you. Literally, that was what the text message from Trump said. Said he loved me. So.
Oh, that's so funny. Do I have to be jealous?
I don't think he cares.
I mean, I don't want to threaten the former president, but I will have to kick his ass if he's going to hit on you. That's not cool, man.
Carry on.
This one I liked. I need that on a t-shirt.
Yes. Okay.
The next one is from the annals of Who Wore It Better.
Mm-hmm. Why doesn't she have her iron cross? Oh, okay.
I know, right? And then this one. He just keeps going and going and going.
I think they're missing the point. They really, yeah. Well, again, that looks more like a carry on.
Well, that's 4. So,
All right.
did you want to do all of them now? I thought we saved the other stuff for the end.
Yeah, we'll save those for later.
Okay.
All right. So that takes us to
I don't know.
Jackass of the Week.
Oh, does it take us to the Jackass? Oh, crap. Inadvertent click. Now I got to get back to where I was. Okay, there we are. Neil Young.
Hey! Get that jackass out of here!
And I'm proud to present my braying Jackass of the Week.
You know, eventually I'm going to have to fix that because Neil is sounding as lucid as President Biden is. Do something to fix that. Anyway, Jackass of the Week. Let's start off with Pamelac and her appearance. One of the handful that she's actually done with people in the media. Now, she's done none with unfriendly media. Not that you'd know that by listening to anything. But anyway, here she is talking to Norah O'Donnell about her primary campaign issue, which is abortion.
And you have been clear that that is a priority. But what you have not been clear on
This is
is
kinda
what
long,
that
by
bill
the
would
way.
look like. You've talked about restoring Roe versus
but I am
Wade.
very clear.
But you've not said
let's-
what actions you would support.
Let's put back in place Roe versus Wade. This was not an issue. When Roe versus Wade was intact for 50 years, half a century, women together with their physicians were here at a medical office talking with physicians. Women in consultation, if they chose, with their priest, their pastor, their rabbi, their imam.
So you
were
do
able to
support
make
restrictions
those-
after viability.
I support Roe versus Wade being put back into law by Congress and to restore the fundamental right of women to make decisions about their own body. It is that basic.
But you know there are restrictions. With Roe versus Wade, there were restrictions after viability.
We would not be debating this if Donald Trump had not hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And what we have seen, as demonstrated last night and every day these last 2 years, is extraordinary harm that has occurred in America, where women have died because of Trump abortion bans, where women who have survived rape and girls' incest, and no exception for someone whose body has been violated to make a decision about what happens to their body next. We have seen women who are experiencing a miscarriage around a pregnancy they prayed for and being denied health care because doctors are afraid they're going to go to prison, and those women developing sepsis. We have seen extraordinary harm and pain and suffering happen because of what Donald Trump did in intending and effectuating an overturning of Roe v. Wade. Yes, my first priority is to put back in place those protections and to stop this pain and to stop this injustice that is happening around our country.
So then why not say what restrictions you would support as part of that?
I've told you.
And
Let's
when
put back in place Roe v. Wade.
And when you argue that Donald Trump, if elected, would put forward a national abortion ban,
Just read Project 2025.
the former president said that's not true. He would
He
veto
says
it.
everything. Come on, are we really taking his word for it? He said that women should be punished. He has been all over the place on this. But I'm too busy watching what he's doing to see what he has said.
So a very long clip there, but you can see the extent to which Pamela
Yeah, you
goes
lose
to not
points for-
answer a quick direct goddamn question.
She can't even tell the truth
No,
in any of it.
no. And there's so much there, again, to unpack. Because there's just so much bullshit in all of her answers. I gotta give it to O'Donnell for actually trying to nail her down on that. Because again, that seems a reasonable question. And the
All right,
question
let's
is,
get it-
does she just not want to talk about it? Or does she not have any idea what Roe v. Wade
She
actually
doesn't.
said?
She's never had an idea in her life.
Well, and she's stupid too. So
Yep.
anyway,
Let's go
all right,
next one.
All right. And number 2. Oh, you knew he was coming. Here it is.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Yeah, thanks OBS for that. Let's try that
Or
again.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
So they're writing that off as okay. The first thing they wrote it off what was it? I saw a thing about it was on the best of the web today, but it was not the excuse they finally landed on, which is that he just misspoke, and he meant to say his as in Trump's instead of saying his supporters. But okay, if you watch the video, he's clearly reading that. So the things that he said were written on a screen in front of him, and he was reading them.
Well, again, just like he hasn't had an original idea since since law school, because that's when he did the plagiarism thing. So, oh my, we're already getting votes out here. So that being said, we have a lot we could talk about with both of these quotes, but I think it's very fitting that we have a Harris-Biden runoff. And
well, you have to count the votes, and so let's have the official vote counting music.
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Do we have a final vote tally, or is this going to be like next Tuesday, and we'll have to wait about 6 weeks before we know what the final vote is?
We have a vote, and I'm waiting to see if you have a vote, Mark.
You know, this is a really difficult one because I despise both of them. They're both satanic and evil, lie like the devil. In as often. So it's really hard. I'm gonna vote for Biden just because his was such a direct attack on half the population. And him following in the footsteps of Obama and Hillary Clinton that also said the same things essentially.
And I'm going to Jim voted for number one. I'm going to have to be the tiebreaker.
Quizzer abstained, yeah.
Yep, and so did Tim Turner. So I'm voting for number one, and here's why. Because I think what happened is that the whole Biden thing, right after he made that comment, he went and he called Donald and he said, "All right, I did it, Donald. You go take her out. Finish the job." So we do have a winner.
He's a bigger frenemy as Bill Clinton can be.
Yeah.
Yay!
Congratulations, Pamela.
Pamela is hard to take down when it comes to Jackass. And this has been the Brain Jackass of the Week.
All right, folks. Let's move right along to 2 minutes of guns in 1 minute.
Are you ready to go, Mark?
I think so.
All right, here we go.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
So the other day I came across an article that was talking about using the 9mm as a hunting and trail gun. I'm not going to get into debates on whether 9mm should be used as a hunting gun here, but I was more interested in the concept of a trail gun. I think there is a distinction between a trail gun and a hunt, and one that's intended for hunting. You know, I always envision a trail gun as something you can carry with you. You can use it for emergency purposes, primarily.
30 seconds.
Signaling, emergency hunting, defense against critters, or whether two-legged or four-legged and stuff. But it's interesting. I mean, there's such a broad change on that you could pick on that depending on your circumstances.
45
and it's
seconds.
interesting to note that you can see people that carry something as small as, say, like the Smith & Wesson's kit gun, which I understand is extremely popular in backpackers.
2,
all the way up to these,
1.
hand
Stop.
cannons and 500.
There you go. Again, a round of applause. Oh, Mark, you're getting too good at that. Really got it nailed down. But that brings us to
What does that bring us to?
the Ink Grill Fest.
If I could find the sound bite. Where is it at? Crap. Oh, there it is.
Think real fast.
See, the problem is I'm getting too much stuff in my my sound bar over here, and that is there permanently. I can't find things. Okay.
And Jim Wetzel notes that you were very good and coherent, Mark. All right.
Thank you.
All right. All right. I have to skip one because the missus. We already talked about garbage, but we will talk about it again. But let's talk about Voter-Rama hijinks. In Voter-Rama hijinks, the U.S. Supreme Court, which is the regular court but with sour cream and tomatoes, just ruled that Virginia can remove non-citizens from the voting rolls. Mark, what's next? Will they try to say that illegal aliens can't cross the border all nimbly-pimbly whenever they want?
Well, one would hope, but maybe the next one will be not allowing states like Nevada to count ballots when they come in late with no postmark.
Well, you're skipping ahead. You're skipping ahead.
Well, the kicker of this story, though, is that these weren't people that the state said couldn't vote because they were not eligible. These were people who said they couldn't vote because they said they were not citizens.
Yep, and the Democrats sued to keep them as voters. Mm-hmm. So that tells you who the good guys are. The missus.
Well, and the scary part is that the Democrats won in the lower courts, including the appellate court.
The missus, do you think Virginia now knows that there is a Santa Claus?
No, but I think Virginia knows, who the good guys are.
In more Voter-Rama hijinks, the Secretary of State of Colorado, Jenna Griswold, just back from a trip to Wally World, noted that she had left a spreadsheet that contained all of the secret passwords to almost every county in Colorado exposed on the internet for months. Mark, does this mean that voting in Colorado is just like the COVID vaccine, safe and effective?
Yeah, of course.
Nobody
really knew it was there.
The missus, do you think all those stoners in Colorado could even figure out how to enter a password?
I don't think it's the stoners we have to worry about.
Well said. In more Voter-Rama hijinks, in Pennsylvania, apparently over 2,600 applications were received that were filled out on the same day with unknown signatures that didn't match the application, many in the same handwriting. This is from a district attorney who is investigating this, not something anyone made up. Many names were made up, and of those that featured real names, many of the people were contacted and never even registered. Mark, is this an example of how voter fraud has never been detected in our system?
Even if it's true, it's still disinformation.
The missus, why would a district attorney violate YouTube standards by saying something like that?
I know, by calling the security of our elections into question. There's another story coming out of Pennsylvania, too, that they have found at least one voter registrant who has voted something like 27 times in the same election.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all right. But these are safe and effective, and they're always valid. I'm sorry. More Voter-Rama hijinks.
You coughing up a hairball there?
Yeah. In Pennsylvania, voters were informed. I saw the video that computers were down and closed the polling places early illegally. Trump attorneys jumped on this and had the voting extended. Mark, does that surprise you that this happened in a Trump-supporting area? Actually, it's not really a Trump-supporting area, but does it surprise you? Okay.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, our whole elections system is, in a bunch of these blue states are completely compromised.
The missus, do you think that the folks in Pennsylvania just lost the passwords and they should ask Colorado for them?
Well, it probably isn't Colorado that has them. They probably should, ask like a foreign government entity that isn't very fond of us. I don't know. China, maybe?
Probably all the same.
Yeah.
In more Voter-Rama hijinks, a woman in Washington State received 16 ballots at her apartment, each addressed to a different name, but with her apartment number. Despite the apartment being vacant for months with no mail for past tenants received at all, she received those batches of ballots. Mark, why do we let the wolves count the chickens going back into the hen house?
I don't know. I'm just wondering if the names though were all Hispanic.
I don't think there was any panic at all. The missus, aren't you happy that mail-in voting is so safe
China.
and secure?
What's that?
Aren't you happy that the mail-in voting is so safe and secure?
I know, absolutely. Securest election we've ever had.
Yep. Speaking of which, in more voter hijinks.
See, I thought you were going to talk about Jeffrey Bezos and his op-ed yesterday.
I am. I'm not.
You're going to get
yet.
that? Okay, all right.
More voter hijinks. Mail-in ballots were received by the county clerk in Mesa County, Colorado. That's not unusual, right? Except the mail-in ballots hadn't been sent out yet. They counted them, and of course they were in the stack, so they can't uncount them now. Mark, do you think having a password would be helpful?
Maybe not.
Their password is password, so.
Well, I mean, obviously someone got hold of the form and printed it. I mean, they use barcodes and crap on these things, so yeah, that's just somebody that got too excited and did it all early.
More voter hijinks. In violation of Nevada law, the Nevada Supreme Court voted to allow ballots to show up 3 days later, unpostmarked, to be counted. Mark, what's a postmark between friends?
Apparently nothing in this case.
The missus, why should Nevada have to follow its own laws?
Well, they shouldn't. I mean, they should just be able to change them whenever they want to, whatever whim it is. Again, we want a king.
All right.
And the king can do that.
And in breaking news over voter hijinks, Pennsylvania Democrats are suing Erie County over 20,000...
Hey, I challenge. I throw the challenge flag.
Breaking news.
And this is breaking. It's within an hour. Pennsylvania Democrats are suing Erie County, Pennsylvania, over 20,000 mail-in ballots that are allegedly missing. So, but don't worry. I found them. They're in our copy room.
Yeah, they'll find them in the back of Al Franken's car.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just, I don't have any that should have gone.
Hey, you know what? It takes time to separate the Republican votes from the Democrat votes.
Ooh, good point. All right. Carrying along. I told you we've got a lot of material here. The Washington Post isn't endorsing a candidate for the first time since 1988. Jeff Bezos has said that he's not going to do it anymore, and over 200,000 people have canceled their subscriptions in the whiny leftist anchor where they stamp their feet. Mark, do you think Bezos will even notice?
No.
Well, how would the people who read his paper notice anyway? Never in the history of endorsing candidates for the Washington Post have they ever endorsed a Republican. Never.
But she's a black Indian woman.
She's not the Republican.
Oh, the missus, does it shock you the lefties go nuts when they don't get their way?
I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. I mean, they are well thought out, reasonable, rational people.
Getting off of politics for a moment, I promise you we'll be back. Google CEO, whoever that is, says about a quarter of Google's computer programming is now AI. Mark, is this why they told coal miners to learn to code?
Probably. Learn to code, and then we'll replace your job.
Right. The missus, has no one ever seen Terminator?
Apparently not.
Okay. Google has been fined by a Russian court in the amount of 20 times 10 to the $33. So that's
like a decigazillion or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's like if a billion is 9 zeros, you keep adding 3 for every one, so it's decazillion. Anyway, it's more money than's ever even been considered. Mark, do you think Russian judges have math class?
No.
The missus.
They don't need it. They've been appointed by the king.
The missus, does the Russian court have subject matter jurisdiction?
Grounds.
Grounds. All right, that's an inside joke. Jaywalking was illegal in New York City, but no more tickets will be issued. Why? Jaywalking is legal now because 90% of tickets went to black and Hispanic people. Mark, why are crosswalks a sign of racist colonialism?
Because you have to. They're painted white. Every crosswalk is white. You know that. I know that. They all know that.
Except for the ones
Besides,
that are painted.
what's the problem? What's the problem in a city that's crowded with millions of vehicles, with people just darting out whenever the heck they want into traffic?
Like a squirrel.
That's true freedom.
They're all white except for the ones that are rainbow colors, and then it's against the law to drive on them, even though, they're on the street.
There you go. All right. The missus, who is this Jay guy anyway?
I don't know.
I think he was a comedian. Did
like,
he do a skit on Funny Walks?
It's like Scott Fitzgerald and why so many people want to F him. I don't know what's going on.
I'm walking here. All right. Take us to I Heard It on the X.
What the hell is going on?
No, I almost hit the...
Shut up, shut up, shut up!
All right, these are, I Heard It on the X, are late breaking news stories, some that had just shown up. So in the Agree and Amplify department, Donald Trump just arrived at his Wisconsin rally. You ready how he drove up? In a garbage truck. He was riding passenger in an orange vest in a garbage truck. This is a thing that really happened today. I have seen it.
Yes, I have seen the pictures of it. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when Don does stuff like that, he just apologize. No, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to amplify it. It's a garbage truck. Also, I heard it on the X. There was a special guest star in Wisconsin. Brett Favre endorsed Donald Trump in front of people in Wisconsin. Do you think that's worth a few votes?
Who is he?
He was the quarterback for the Vikings for a while.
No, the Green Bay Packers.
And then for the Jets.
Skipping the Green Bay Packers thing, where he won the Super Bowl for the Packers.
Wait, they have a football team in Green Bay?
Well, they'll never elect me president now. Okay. And lastly, for I Heard It on the X, Kamala counters with her own celebrity who's going to be joining her last few barnstorming tours. Hillary Clinton.
You're kidding me.
I am not kidding.
Oh, man. Do you think Biden's going to cut her legs out from underneath her?
It's a charisma suck. Yes, please don't throw me down that briar patch.
Everyone knows it.
That's it for I Heard It on the X. All right. The missus, take us out with your funny stuff.
We have more funnies. Okie dokie. Guys, Trump's defensive line has the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth. We just got to go out and onto the pitch and pull a full court press onto him, get a power play, and score a hole-in-one to get in the field goal range of stopping fascism. Tim Walz. If you're not sure what that's referencing, apparently Tim did a little podcast the other day where he was playing Madden with AOC, and his comment about AOC was, she runs a mean pick six, but I've got to drop a plan to counter that. I'm not sure at this point that Tim Walz even ever coached football.
I don't think he's ever watched a game if he thinks pick six is a defense.
Actually, you read it. It sounds sort of gay.
Tim Walz is married.
And he has a Chinese mistress. To a woman.
Well, just because he's married doesn't mean, he could be bi or something.
That's true.
All right.
Plenty of gay guys out there who have had wives.
Next.
All right. Democrats screaming fury after spotting a child that made it out of the womb alive.
I don't know if you guys have seen this video.
This happened in Houston.
And outside of the Beyonce rally. And this just screaming at this little tiny girl.
Oh, and I did finally hear what this woman leaned over and screamed in the face of that 4-year-old. She screamed over and screams into the face of a 4-year-old child, "I don't give a fuck, but your dad's a bitch."
Well, yep.
Democrats,
there
ladies
you
and
have
gentlemen. Right there.
Voices of reason.
Yeah, that's right. Reasonable people. Let's get into something a little less political for a change, and let's go to some Halloween fun. Here is a...
You're going to have to embiggen that for our pleasure.
A yard decoration here. I'll zoom in here. So you can see there's Trump over here on the left side and Pamela on the right side. And then you have various ghouls and goblins out sitting in.
I see that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like
that actually is over in Mount Pilot. That's local here.
There you go.
That one in front of their house. Okay. And then this one, which is also a, I can get to that. I'll make that one a little bigger.
It's a skeleton watching skeletons.
It's a skeleton on a Zoom call.
Ah. Knowing you, I was expecting skeleton porn.
Well, I would, but it's just so loud, all the clicking and clacking.
Well, just watching and then boning each other. It's terrible.
Mark gets off a good one, and I don't have my rim shot ready. What is wrong with me? There we go. You earned that one, Mark.
All right.
That's your cue there, Mr. Host.
I guess we're still doing a show, right?
You're sounding like Tim. You're sounding like Tim Walz when he's asked a very easy question about the campaign.
McDonald's. I was at McDonald's. It never happened.
Pamela was born a middle-class child.
Yes, that's right. So the question that I have is, anyone have any last thoughts, any last comments on this wonderful pre-election evening?
Before we get banned from YouTube for this podcast?
Yeah, we very well could be. Mark, got anything?
I think the cheat's going to be even worse than last time.
Okay. In the missus, do you? Our intention is to be here next Wednesday, but like I said,
things could happen.
Things could happen.
I'll have like 70 strikes by tomorrow.
Oh, you got any final thoughts, the missus?
Yeah, because if that happens, it's our podcast that is undermining the integrity of U.S. elections.
That's right.
That's what's doing it.
All right.
What did Bezos say about that? How did he put that in that piece? Did you mention that? I was doing other things.
Yeah, I did. If you weren't paying attention, yes.
Well, remind me of what he said again. There's two things that are important for the integrity of elections.
I believe the first thing was that you have a jet plane so you can go to where you want to vote. And the second one is that you date Tony Gonzalez's ex-girlfriend.
No, that wasn't what I was looking for.
I didn't know there was going to be a quiz.
I
can't
find the link to the actual...
Well, let's
there it is. Wait, I found it. Hang on, I found it. Where's it at? I gotta find it.
This is great radio. I'm sorry.
Well, you talk. You're the host.
Well, I was done talking, and you've got this thing you're doing. So.
Well, I have to find it because I thought you were going to talk about it, and then you didn't mention
the
important thing that he mentioned in there.
That having billions of dollars is important.
I can't listen to you
Yep.
and read this piece at the same time. You have to talk
Well,
to
we
Mark.
can talk about it
You have
next
to
week.
talk to Mark, and we might not be here next week.
You get one vote for each. You get one vote for each $100,000 you have.
Oh. What would Thanos stick in a ballot box?
Here it is. Here it is.
Okay. Yes.
Voting machines must meet two requirements. They must count the vote accurately, and people must believe they count the vote accurately. The second requirement is distinct from and just as important as the first.
There you go.
And that's not me. That's Jeff Bezos.
Yep. Everybody gets to vote who is eligible, and they're counted only once.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only important to, people on the right. And on that note,
I gotta find the thing.
you got to find the button.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for coming to Bombs and Bants and Wednesday Rants. I'm going to try and mess up the ending once again on podcast 147. So thanks for coming tonight. I'm John. Out of here.
This is Mark. See you all next week.
And once again, left to clean up the mess. How is this always my job? Come on, guys. You gotta be on top of this thing. We'll maybe see y'all next week. Regardless of where we are. Y'all come back now, you hear?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever